Okay, now let's talk about UI tests. So we've done 2 unit tests. Now let's talk about UI tests. UI tests basically just test to make sure that elements are there on the UI. So let's go to our simulator. And this is our interface, our UI. And we just test that this button is here, this button is here, this button is here, this button is here, and our text field is here, and then we can enter things into it, right? So again, I'm sure you're familiar with this project. So I'm gonna say ZX return, and we have just one, right? ZM, nothing. XL, okay, AL, AZ, IO, IL. Okay, so now this is working, right? So let's show you how we will do this unit test, and it will be automated. And of course, yeah. So I'm gonna go here to our project targets right here. Targets, doesn't matter. You can select this or you can select this, don't matter. We're gonna say here, and I'm going to say UI test bundle right here. Next, and we're gonna call this factory design. I'm just gonna say factory design pattern UI. Okay. Factory design pattern for service UI. Okay. And I'm gonna finish. And this is it right here. So launch tests and whatever, and we have this. So in a nutshell, whatever can run in here can run in here. We're going to have our for all practical intents and purposes, launch test generally is to launch your application and test things on launch. And then this one just kind of, you test your UI, whatever you designate. For the purposes of demonstration, we're just gonna have to keep one, okay? Because we're just gonna do everything in here. And I'm just going over the basic fundamentals of how UI tests would work. So I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this function. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of all these functions, okay? Okay, so now let's go ahead and look at our UI. Content view. And give me a second. Right, so this is our content view. And what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we can reference everything. So we want to reference our first text field, right? Our first text field is going to be called accessibility identifier. Not a text field, but we're going to have a property. We're going to modify the accessibility identifier. Accessibility right, identifier. Okay. And I'm going to call this just search text. Okay. And this is how we're going to refer to it in our UI test. Okay. All right. So now And of course, you can add accessibility identifiers to pretty much everything. Okay. So now we're going to go down to our test, and I'm going to say this. All right. I'm going to override. Why is this doing this? Override class bar runs for each target application configuration. Runs for each target application configuration, right? And we're going to return true. Okay. All right. So now and I will explain that later. But for now, let's just go ahead and do this. And I'm going to say override func, and we're going to create our setup function. Setup with error. With error. Okay. Setup with error. Continue after failure equals false. So basically, we want this thing to once there's an error, we want it to stop on that error. Okay, and we want to be notified. Okay, before we go on to the next. Okay, these are just settings, and you might set things differently in your practical UI test. I'm trying to get you to understand this because these are concepts you're going to use in kind of in very different UI tests depending on your app and how your company has set things up. Okay, so now we're going to write a function, one function that goes through, checks the test field, make sure the text field, the search text field is there, make sure that that the search text field can be searched on, and then it returns something. And we're going to check and make sure that all the buttons can be pressed and that they operate. Okay, so here we go. I'm in here. I'm going to create a function called test press all buttons. Okay. Test press all buttons. Oh, and search, right? Okay. Test press all buttons and search. And we're going to say throws. Why? Because we're going to have things that may try, and we need to throw and be prepared to throw an error. So let's see, let app equal XCUI application, right? And then we're going to say app dot launch, right? Then we're going to say let text field have a property called text field that's going to equal app dot text field or text fields, and we're going to reference that what was here in the content view, search text. Go back here. Okay, all the fields, which is really only one field, search text. Okay, now we're going to say, I'm going to say XCTest, test assert, right? XCT, not XCTest, XCT assert true, right? Text field dot exists. So we're testing to see if this text field exists. And if we run this right now, I'm sorry, throws, right? I'm having that error. If we run this right now, here's what happens. Okay, the build succeeded, but now we're testing. Oh my God. Oh, sorry about this. I hate when this. Test succeeded, right? Why? Because we're testing if search text exists. If I say search text 1 and I ran all of the tests, excuse me, sorry about that. And I ran all the tests, it would fail, right? So we're running it again and we failed, right? Why? Because this search text field does not exist, right? It's not named 1, it's named search text. Okay. And so this is what our our tests look like, right? And let's go ahead and run it again. Let's go back here. Search tags, content, test fetch acronyms. That's not it. Sorry. My unit test. There we go. Here we go. Okay. And so now we're running it again, and everything should pass. So we're testing if the text field is there. And that's what that's what UI tests do. Not unit tests, I'm sorry. UI tests. Oh my God, I don't know why I'm saying UI test. The testing if everything in the UI is there and operating correctly. So, and of course, you can go here, click on here, jump to reports. And this is our report, right? Link, everything, light mode. We get more information about our UI test. This is something you can look into, and it gives an order of operations of everything that took place, setting appearance mode and light, setting device orientation and portrait, and tear down. So light mode portrait, light mode landscape, light mode dark mode portrait, dark mode landscape. These are things in which it's tested. Okay. And of course you know what those things are if you've gotten to this point. Now let's take it a step further, right? We're going to add a screenshot functionality. We're going to add screenshot functionality to this, okay? Screenshot functionality looks like this. Let screenshot equal app dot screenshot. Okay. Let attachment and equal XCTA attachment screenshot. What? Screenshot. Okay. There we go. And then I'm going to say attachment. I'm going to give it a name. Equals ACK screenshot. I'm going to say acro. Acro screenshot, right? And I'm going to say attachment dot lifetime, keep always dot lifetime. I'm going to explain this later. Dot delete on success, keep always. Let's say keep always. Okay, for the sake of illustration purposes and demonstration purposes. Now let's go look at our buttons, right? These are our buttons, or I believe this is the app, or is it the app? Okay, because I have to run this mug, right? Or better, I can just go to content view and look, right? AL, right? AZ, right? But actually, you know something? Let's go ahead and test to make sure that the actual button, this button, I mean, not the actual text field actually works, right? So we check if it exists, right? But now let's do this. I'm gonna say text field dot tap, right? That means dot tap, and I'm gonna say text field dot type text. I'm gonna say MX, right? Then I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna say text field, or no, I'm sorry, not text field. App dot BU buttons, okay, and return. ETURN. This will make it return. This will do the return tap. Right? Okay. Let's I'm gonna comment this out for now, real quick. Replace. Right? Okay. Did I oh I pressed it. Okay, so let's run our UI test. Sorry. Run our UI test. So now the test is running, and you see how it automatically it put in MX, right? Okay, did light mode, landscape, and portrait. Dark mode, landscape, and portrait. You see how it's changing? And it does the search. Pretty cool, right? Pretty powerful, right? So basically, now I've tested the text field, see that it works, right? And now let's do this. We can do a screenshot, right? Again, now we're going to run our UI test. Okay. Again, we're up here. As you can see, it is running. It's running it in light mode, dark mode, portrait, and landscape. If you don't know, portrait is when it's going straight up and down. Landscape is when it's turned on its side. Okay. So now we're here, right? I can right click on here, or I can go here, wherever, check mark, and I can go to jump to report. Here we are. And see light mode. I do not see any images, right? Why don't I see images? Okay, let's see. All right. So how we can check this is we can go here, edit scheme, options. Oh, I'm sorry. No. Test, options. Okay. Let's do this. Attachments, we're not going to attach. We're not going to delete after each test succeeds. Okay. And we can, that should allow us to do this. So you come in here again. How you do this again is you go here, edit schema, go to tests, options, uncheck the delete after each test, and let's go ahead and run this mug. Okay. I'll not run it, but let's go ahead and actually like run our unit test. Here we go. We're running the unit test. And that's how you run it, right? You also go back here, go here. You can also run it from here, run it directly, or run the entire suite of tests, right? So as you can see, this is running and it's posting this, right? Absolutely. So that's done. The tests are done. And it's probably passed. I was probably covering up the screen so I couldn't see it say pass, but it passed. Obviously, because these are green, right? So now again, I can go here, jump to reports, right? And let's see. I have to so let's see. Well, there's one thing that I didn't do, right? I never added the attachment, right? Add attachments. I think that would probably have helped, right? So let's go ahead and run these unit tests again. I mean, UI test, not unit test. UI test again. Um, this is taking forever. And test succeeded, right? And now let's go ahead, right click, jump to report. Okay, 10 seconds right here, right there. Wait, some screenshots were deleted because they remove automatically. Some screenshots were deleted, return. Okay, add attachments, acro screenshots, and this is our screenshot from our first test. Okay. All right. So now, and we can go to all the other one, light mode, landscape, go down here. Right. This is our landscape, right? Because it's on the side. Dark mode portraits. Okay. Get rid of that. Okay, dark mode, that's our portrait. And of course, we have a dark mode landscape. Yeah. So now you know how to take screenshots and set up your test, right? And so now what I'm going to do is yeah, now I'm going to teach you how to do your buttons. And these are like the basics of UI tests in Xcode. So yeah, that's enough for right now. On to the next.